matter of Russia and Ukraine, there is no one in South Africa who supports war. We've made that very clear. And we have said that we wish to see intensified efforts at increased diplomacy, utilizing the good offices of the United Nations, particularly the Secretary General, and other leaders who may be of weight in terms of persuading the interlocutors to come around a table and negotiate a settlement of this awful conflict. This is the position of South Africa. We support a search for peace. We are appalled by war. We abhor war because it brings untold suffering, which is something we experienced under apartheid. So this is the position that we have. With respect to the role that multilateral bodies such as the United Nations should play, we believe that all principles that are germane to the United Nations Charter and international humanitarian law must be upheld for all countries, not just some. Just as much as the people of Ukraine deserve their territory and freedom, the people of Palestine deserve their territory and freedom. And we should be equally concerned at what is happening to the people of Palestine as we are with what is happening to the people of Ukraine. We've not seen an even-handed approach in utilization of the prescripts of international law. And we encourage that the world should have greater attention to ensuring that we are equal to everybody. This has been a concern, and this is what at times leads to cynicism about international bodies and a lack of belief in their ability to protect the weakest and most marginalized. We have to change that belief and cynicism and ensure that all international institutions treat all human beings in a fashion that shows them whether we are ICC, ICJ, UN Security Council, G20, EU, whoever we are, we will protect. This is important. Also on Taiwan, clearly as South Africa, we have very clear separation between the executive and the legislature. Recently, the Speaker of the National Assembly was invited to be part of a group of the Interparliamentary Union, a group of speakers who were a delegation that were to visit Ukraine. I could not say to the Speaker, don't go there, don't go there. It is Parliament's decision as to what they do. This is what separation of power means. So I think for us, decisions by presiding officers, whether we agree with them or not, as the executive, they would have to live with our decisions. We have to live with their decisions and repair any breaches in relations that they may cause. That's our duty to do that. Of course, we welcome the ceasefire in Palestine. However, we do express concern that many civilians have been killed. Infrastructure that provides services to ordinary civilians has been destroyed. The people of Palestine are living in buildings that are shells. And this worries us, having experienced apartheid ourselves and living in corridors. So we do think there's work for the world to do in ensuring that we create peace in the territory of Palestine and have a two-state solution where you have two nations existing in peace, side by side. We also think we're not satisfied that there's been an independent investigation of the murder of Shireen Abu Akleh, and we still call for a full independent investigation and a full report on who actually shot her. Because you can't say bullets shot a person. It's an individual who wields the gun, and we need to get to the truth of that. This is what would show that we are truly committed to being honest and even-handed toward all people, and in particular toward media practitioners who must be given the security to practice their craft. On the elections in Kenya, we've been very pleased that thus far the campaign up to its end yesterday seemed to have been largely peaceful. We hope that the election which occurs on our Women's Day in South Africa, that it will result in a stable, free and fair election. We wish the people of Kenya well in this process. We recall the last election, and we are hoping that tomorrow everyone will be able to exercise their democratic right to vote in a condition of peace and security.
First for you, Minister Pandor, the U.S. government has been adamant, as Secretary Blinken just reinforced, that it is not asking African nations to choose between Russia and China and the West. At the same time, the United States clearly is hoping to marshal support at the UN and elsewhere for its isolation of Russia, along with American allies. You made reference in a recent article to the failure on the part of some to appreciate the principles of sovereignty and freedom of choice that African nations must consider in this regard. Do you think that the United States and its European allies sufficiently appreciate the complex interest of African nations in this arena? And did you discuss that today with Secretary Blinken? And then, Secretary Blinken, for you, one thing we noticed during Foreign Minister Lavrov's recent African visit was his promotion of Russia's model of arms sales with few strings attached, and the fact that Russia typically refrains from criticizing African nations on human rights. I know you've talked about an affirmative American vision for the continent, but how do you see that competing with the appeal that the easy access to arms or state-backed roads from China might have to some leaders in Africa? And just really quickly, how would you respond to the minister's statement she just made about inconsistency on the part of some global actors in regards to principles the U.S. is advocating for in the Ukraine conflict, which seem to be an allusion to the U.S. position in the conflict in the Middle East? Thanks.
Well, let me start this time. I'm glad that Secretary Blinken has confirmed that America is not asking us to choose. I don't recall any attempt by the United States to do that. But in terms of our interaction with some of our partners in Europe and elsewhere, there has been a sense of a patronizing bullying toward you choose this or else. And the recent legislation passed in the United States of America by the House of Representatives, we found a most unfortunate bill that we'd hope the media would say more about, because when we believe in freedom, as I'm saying, it's freedom for everybody. You can't say because Africa is doing this, you will then be punished by the United States. So that's been a disappointing passage of legislation by one house, and we hope the other house will not agree to such offensive legislation. So indeed, it is important that all of us accept our ability to hold different opinions. We are, after all, sovereign nations that are regarded as equal in terms of the United Nations Charter. We may differ in terms of economic power and economic ability to influence development in different parts of the world, but what will make the world work is if we respect each other. This is very, very important. And one thing I definitely dislike is being told either you choose this or else. When a minister speaks to me like that, which Secretary Blinken has never done, but some have, I definitely will not be bullied in that way, nor would I expect any other African country worth its salt to agree to be treated. Russia, I've tried so many times to explain to so many people. Russia is a very negligible economic partner for South Africa. Our trade with Russia is less than $4 billion annually, compared to the $20 billion that I referred to earlier with respect to the United States. So this fear that we exist under some push is, I think, a totally, really unfounded belief in the relationship that we have with either country. And we've been quite clear in saying we really advocate for peace because we knew what would happen. We knew there'd be destruction, there'd be death, there'd be desolation. And that's what we're all seeing. And what we've always asked is, where is this going to end? Let us make every effort to get peace.